Good evening. Welcome to our first edition of Beat the Number, NBA style, NBA edition for Sunday, January the 26th. My name is Abby. This segment in this episode is going to be about beating the number for the National Basketball Association, getting ahead of the number for the point spread and the over-unders. So first off, we're going to look at the early games here. The early number here with Detroit at Cleveland. So Cleveland minus 10. Total is 232 and a half. Right now, we're looking at 234 and a half. And we are seeing some 10 and a halves come up right now. Now, there are some 10s available, but they are going kind of quick. Not a lot of books have the 10s. Most of them are going to 11 or 10 and a half, and I'm seeing an 11 come up here. So again, if you like Cleveland like myself, you want to get on that 10 and a half. As of Sunday nights, it's 10:30 at night in Eastern Standard Time. The number is showing 10 and a half. One book has it at 11. We're using, if you're curious to know what we're using to get ahead of the numbers and the spread, it's called oddslogic.com. Has all the latest updated line movements, early line movements, early total movements, the over-under movements for the totals. Now we're actually going to look at the injury report as well. We're going to look into that for this game. That's Cleveland and Detroit. So let's see. As of right now, Detroit, Tobias Harris, he has a concussion at this very time, at this very moment. And he is questionable to play on Monday at Cleveland. Jaden Ivey is out indefinitely with a leg injury. Now on the Cleveland side, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Dean Wade ruled out with a knee injury. Isaac Okoro's shoulder downgraded to out, I believe. Out. Let me see here. Looks like he's out. Downgraded to out. He's ruled out Monday. Yes. Karis LeVert's wrist injury downgraded to out. He's ruled out Monday versus Detroit. So we've got the injury report out. As you know, the Cavaliers, for the first time this season, they've lost 2 games in a row. So this is your typical buy low, sell high spot. Let's look at the history of these teams, first of all. They've only played once. That's early in the season. That's early October, beginning of the season in Cleveland. The spread was 10 and a half. Total was 224. Cleveland won 113-101. And they went under the total 224. So this game now is a rematch. This time it's in Cleveland again. This time the total has gone up from before. It was 224, now it's 234. So they mentioned the Cavaliers have lost actually 3 games in a row. They lost two games on the road at Houston, 109-108 as a favorite. As a 9-point favorite in Philadelphia, lost 132-129. Now the Houston game, they went under the total, 229. The Philly game, they went over 230. So it was 132-129. Third game, they lost at home, surprisingly at home to Houston in the rematch. As a 4.5-point favorite, they lost 135-131. Total was 231 in this game. So 3-2 Cleveland to the over last 5 games. Detroit They're 2-3 in the last 5 games. They have covered 2 straight road games before losing to Orlando outright the other night. 121-113. Now for the over/under, they are 2-3 to the under right now in the 5 games. So in this case here, I like Cleveland. I like Cleveland, and I like the 10.5. 10.5 Cleveland, because I see one book, like I said earlier, they have it going to 11 now. The lines are moving pretty quick. So hopefully tomorrow morning when you guys see the video in the morning, first thing in the morning, you guys are able to get the early number for Cleveland at 10.5 before it gets to 11. Now, if you like Detroit, you're going to wait for a better number because the line's going up. If you like Cleveland, like myself, you take the minus 10.5. Because I see one book, I just saw one book had it at 11. Or my eyes deceiving me. I thought I saw 11 here. I guess it's back to, I saw 11. I swear I seen 11. I guess it's still 10.5. It's not 11, it's still at 10.5. Yeah, the majority of the book's 10.5. So you want to jump on that, like I said. If you like Cleveland, take it. I'm on the Cavaliers here at the 10.5. Like I said, I got a feeling it's going to get to 11. So that's one game you want to jump on. 10.5 Cleveland. As for the total, it's 232 open. That right now we're seeing 234.5 is coming up. Mainly it's 233, but I'm seeing 234s pop up. So I would definitely jump. I would take the 233.5 in the over. I'll definitely take the over here, for sure. Take the over before it gets to 234. I would definitely do that for sure. Now the next game, Lakers at Charlotte. Lakers open up as a minus 6-point favorite, total 218.5. Right now we're seeing it at 5.5. 5.5 we're seeing on the board. 5.5 for the Lakers. Yes, we're seeing 5.5 here. So you definitely want to jump on the Lakers 5.5. Again, this is our second game on the road trip. We're going to check the injury report right now. Let me just verify a few things here. Cody Martin ruled out with a core injury. Mark Williams, questionable to play Monday. Brandon Miller, wrist injury, out for the season. Trey Mann, back injury, out indefinitely. Grant Williams with his knee, out for the year. On the Lakers side, Rui Hachimura, questionable to play Monday in Charlotte. Christian Wood, out for the season, out indefinitely. So we'll review this game here. I've already bet the Lakers already. I'm taking them at the 5.5. I'm already going to be taking them. This is the second game on the road trip for the Lakers. They are playing, and this is the first game of the season, Lakers in Charlotte. They have a 4-game road trip. Actually, it's a 5-game road trip. 5 games. They've won the first game against Golden State, 118-108. They're favored by a point. It went over the total, over 220. So the Lakers have actually won 3 straight games. So they've won 3 straight, covered 2 straight as a favorite. Covered in Washington, the 13.5-point favorite at home, covered in Golden State on the road. So the last 5 games, 4-1 for the Lakers, last 5. And they are 2-3 to the under, Lakers, last 5 games. So yes, I like the Lakers I like them here. They're starting to catch their rhythm and their groove against a lesser opponent in Charlotte. Now Charlotte, They are 5-5 last 10 games, 6-3 against the spread, 6-3-1 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. 2-3, actually, 3-2 last 5 games, Charlotte, and they are 2-3 to the under. So Charlotte 2-3 to the under. Lakers, I think we mentioned earlier, 2-3 to the under as well. So both teams, last 5 games are playing to the under. So this game here, I like the Lakers here at 5.5. I think they cover the spread and make it 4 straight wins and 3 straight covers as a favorite. I like him here. Charlotte, I don't trust him in this spot here at all. Don't trust Charlotte. Yeah, I don't trust them here. The Lakers are just too superior, and I think they cover the spread. I like it's a cheap number, small cheap number. I think they cover it here. Again, this line can go. This is a good line to get now. Maybe the Lakers are very healthy. Vanderbilt's back in the lineup. That's a big boost, and he's helped them a lot. Jared Vanderbilt for the Lakers. So basically, they're on the right track. 4 straight for the Lakers, and they cover the spread. Now, as far as the total is concerned, the total, we open up, like we said, it's 218. It's gone to 222. I don't have anything on the total really in this game. I don't have anything on the total. I would lean to the under, so I would basically wait for the best number. I'd wait for the best number. Right now, a little bit early. I'd lean to the under. So if you like the under, you'd wait, get a better number tomorrow. But if you like the over, you bet it now at 222. But I'm leaning that way. I'm not going to touch the total. Tomorrow, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But right now, as of now, I'm not touching the total. I have to think about that. So we'll see how that goes. For now, just Lakers 5.5. Take it. So shop around for that number. It is there, and I would get that. Next game is Orlando at Miami. Open up at -1 Orlando. Total 207.5. Right now we're looking at. We're seeing some 1.5s come up on the board, and it's still at 207.5. So the total hasn't really moved. So the number, it went up by about half a point. So the injury report for Miami, Jimmy Butler, as you know, is suspended. Josh Richardson out with a heel injury. Drew Smith out for the season. Orlando, Gary Harris downgraded with a hamstring injury. So it looks like he might be out tomorrow because they're downgrading his condition. Jalen Suggs is questionable with a knee injury tomorrow. Goga Badatsi, hip injury, questionable Monday. Montez Wagner out for the season. A lot of question marks in this game for the Orlando-Miami game. For a lot of question marks. This game, since the line is so tight, it's a tight line in terms of the spread. It's 1.5, 1. I'm going to hold off on betting this game. I don't see any advantage here because of the injury situation, especially on the Orlando side. And I'm going to hold off on the total as well. I'm going to try and get a better number for the total. It's 207. Now, if Suggs does play, if Suggs does play, let's say Gary Harris plays, it might go up to 208. Who knows? So I'm going to hold off. That's why I say I'll hold off and wait on that until tomorrow. So that's the one you got to hold off on. Can't beat the number or the total on that game. Let's look at the next game here. Hopefully we can beat the number and the total on the next game. Sacramento at Brooklyn. Sacramento -10, total 223. We're looking at right now the upgraded number now. It's still. Now we're seeing 10.5s come up in this game. 10.5. Um, and the total, 223. It's come down now to 221. 221 we're seeing here. So we're going to look at the Brooklyn side. Brooklyn, Cam Johnson, ankle ruled out. Ben Simmons, questionable for the game against Sacramento with an illness. Cam Thomas, hamstring injury, out indefinitely. Trendon Ward, hamstring, out indefinitely. Bojan Bogdanovic, foot injury, out indefinitely for Brooklyn. On the Sacramento side, Sacramento, they have a clean slate, no injuries, so they're a very healthy team. So we're going to look in this game further. Let's see if they played before. I think they had played early on. I'm going to double check this. Yeah, they played early November. November of last year they played in Sacramento early in the season. Sacramento's a 10.5 point favorite. Brooklyn covered in 108 to 103. The total at that time was 233 and went under the total. 220. Excuse me, it was 223. 223 and went under. Excuse me, 223. Sacramento game against the other opposition. 7-3 last 10 games. 4-5-1 against the spread. 8-2 to the over. So Sacramento's lost 2 straight games on the road, in Denver and at New York. But they've gone over in 3 straight games. They've gone over 2 straight on the road. Sacramento's on a 6-game road trip. So we're going to look at the Brooklyn side. Brooklyn, 1-9 again, 1-9 the last 10 games, 4-6 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Brooklyn's lost 6 straight games. Out of the 6 games, they've only covered 2 out of the 6 games. Brooklyn's 1-4 to the under. So they have problems scoring. They have a lot of problems scoring, putting the bucket in, putting the ball in the basket, having problems that way. This is the kind of game we want to look at, a Brooklyn team total. That's the first thing that pops to mind. So the team totals haven't come out as yet, but if you see a 103 team total Brooklyn or a 102, I would bet under. Under 103 and a half, 102 and a half. Any Brooklyn Nets team total that you see, bet the under, and jump that early. Try and get ahead of that early before it goes up, before the numbers go up a little bit. 103 and a half, 102 and a half, even 101 and a half. If it's 101 and a half, I'm still betting the under. If it gets to 100, let's say it gets to 100, I wouldn't touch it. If it gets to 100 points, I wouldn't take the chance and touch it. Brooklyn hasn't scored 100 points in 3 games. But in my opinion, I still wouldn't take if they set the number, the odds makers to 100 and a half, I still wouldn't take the chance. In my opinion, I still wouldn't take that chance to crack over 100. I mean, they're pretty bad, I know. I wouldn't talk you off of betting under 100 points, but for me personally, I'm waiting for it to get to at least 101. 101, I'll bet the under. 100, I'll stay away from it. That's just my take on that for this game. Now, as far as the, we know Brooklyn covered them the last time. Sacramento hasn't covered on the road. Yeah, they haven't covered in 2 games on the road. Sacramento's struggling a little bit on the road. And the line's 10.5. I'm gonna take. Sacramento's had basically about 2 days to think about those two losses, and I believe that they're going to come out. This line might even get to minus 11. That's what I'm going to guess. They're a healthy squad right now. The Kings are healthy. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't end this 2-game losing streak. I know that, and remember, this is a revenge spot too. They've lost outright at home against Brooklyn back in November. They haven't forgotten about that. They had 2 days to think about the 2 losses and the loss against Brooklyn earlier in the season. So before the number gets to minus 11 or 11.5, I would get Sacramento early. I would bet that early. Get the 10.5 early. Definitely get the 10.5 early. And that Brooklyn team total. Keep an eye on that Brooklyn team total. Very important. Keep an eye on that. That's very important. Jump ahead of that number. Beat the number for the Sacramento spread at 10.5, and beat the number for the team total. Make sure you get that under team total. Very important. Get it early so you can beat the markets. Very important. Next game we're going to look at from this Sacramento-Brooklyn game, we're going to go to Memphis and New York. This one is -4. New York total 240. Right now we're looking at 242.5. I'm seeing that right now. I got a feeling this is going to go to 243 before you know it. Now, before I get to this game as well, we're going to look at the injury report for the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll look at the Memphis side first. Santi Adama has an illness. He is questionable for Monday's game. Vince Williams Jr., foot injury, out indefinitely. Marcus Smart, finger, still out indefinitely. Jared Jackson II, foot injury, out indefinitely. So it looks like John Morant's going to be playing Monday. He's healthy. So you'll see him play in New York at the Mecca. On the New York Knicks side, Josh Hart, questionable with a knee injury. Mitchell Robinson. Let's see with Mitchell Robinson here. He has the knee, but we'll get an update here. Knee injury, they're saying he's unlikely to play Monday. So Josh Hart is questionable Monday versus Memphis. So let's look at these teams here. Memphis and New York. This should be a good one. Should be a lot of offensive firepower in this game. So far, I like the over 242. I would get that now because it could go to 243. I wouldn't be surprised if it went to 243.5. So get that. I'll get the early number with that game. I wouldn't waste any time. So we're going to look at this matchup here. I believe this is the first meeting between these two teams. Yeah, the first meeting of the season. Memphis against other opposition, 8-2 last 10 games, 8-2 against the spread, 6-3-1 to the over. Memphis, they have won 6 straight games. They won 6 in a row. Out of the 6 games, they've covered 4 games as a favorite. All 4 games, 3 of the games they've covered at home. 1 game they covered on the road in San Antonio. Now, as an underdog, they covered at San Antonio as an underdog as well in the rematch. They played at home and home. They covered at Houston. So they've been covered. They were underdogs twice against Western Conference opponents and covered. Knicks now are 3.5-point favorites. We'll look at the Knicks side. 6-4 last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 5-5 over/under. Knicks have won 3 straight games, and they've covered 2 out of the 3 games. So we'll go back to, we didn't talk about the Memphis total over/under. They are 3-2 to the over. New York, 4-1 last 5. 2 and 3 to the under the Knicks. Let's see. Let me just double check this one more. Sorry. Yeah, 2 and 3 to the under the Knicks in the last 5. Memphis, we said 3 and 2 to the over. Yeah, so I feel Memphis's offensive style of play is going to definitely affect how New York plays. So I feel Memphis is going to set the pace. It's going to be a fast, quick pace that Memphis is going to set at Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks have to play at Memphis's pace. That's why I like the over in this game. Over the 242.5. I would jump on that, like I said, right away before it gets to 243. If you like the under, you're going to wait for a better number. Overs, get it right now at 242.5. As for the side in this game, it opened up at 4, back at 3.5. Let's see. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on the side. I'll hold off on the side a little bit. The best thing I like about this is the over. I like the over in this game. As for the side, I'm gonna hold off and wait. Nothing concrete yet there. I'll just hold off. Next game, New Orleans at Toronto. The Raptors are -2. They're favored by 2. That's the opening number. Total 228.5. We're seeing 232 in this game. 232.5. So they're coming up. And we're seeing 1.5s now. The 1.5s are coming back. 1.5s we're seeing right now in this game. The injury report on the Toronto side. Let's see. For the Raptors, Jacob Poeltl, questionable with a back injury. Emmanuel Quigley ruled out for tomorrow's game. Kelly Olynyk, questionable to play Monday with a calf injury. Ochai Agbaji, hand injury is questionable. For the Pelicans, DeJounte Murray, questionable with an elbow injury. Herb Jones, shoulder out indefinitely. Brandon Ingram out. So this game here, we'll look into this further. Toronto at New York. I'm sorry, Toronto at New Orleans, excuse me. Toronto at New Orleans. So they did play earlier this year. Early last year they played November. That's the beginning of the season in New Orleans. The total then was 221. And New Orleans was favored by 1.5 points. Toronto won and covered 119-93 and went under 221. Now Toronto's favored at 1.5. Total is 232, like we mentioned. Let me see here. Let me look at this further. Last 10 games, New Orleans 5-5, 5-5 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. Pelicans they've lost 2 straight games. Pelicans on a 3-game road trip. This is the final game of the road trip. They're 1-1 to the over-under's 1-1 on the road trip. Overall, last 5 games, 4-1 to the over. So they had an off game at Charlotte. Didn't play very well on Saturday. Now they're in Toronto. This is usually an over team. They had put up some points. Just the last 2 games they struggled. Especially the last game at Charlotte, they struggled scoring, which is surprising. On the Toronto side, last 10 5-5 against the spread 6-4. Toronto 5-5 total over under. Raptors have won 3 straight games. Beat Orlando at home. Beat Atlanta twice in Atlanta. They had a 2-game series in Atlanta, and we won twice. So they've won 3 straight games. Last 5 games for Toronto, the over-under is 2-3 to the under. The last 5 games. This game here, I'm going to take the over. I like the over. Over 232. Pelicans are an over team. And the Pelicans are an over team. And last game didn't show it in the last game. I just feel this is the last game of the road trip. And I feel with the last game of the road trip, I think they're going to put their best foot forward in Toronto and come out with some offensive firepower in this game. And have New Orleans will dictate the pace, and Toronto will have to match their pace. Therefore, I like the over in this game. Over 232.5. Especially with DeJounte Murray. He's questionable with the elbow. Still like the pace in this game. Even if Murray plays or not, it would help if he played. If he didn't play, I still like the over. I know the Raptors have players here that are questionable. Poeltl is a bucket getter, a rebound getter. He's questionable. Quigley Olynyk questionable to play. Those guys are bucket getters. Jacob Poeltl's a bucket getter. Those guys get buckets. But I still like the over in this game. I like the over. I think even with Toronto's injuries, I think Memphis, like I said, the New Orleans Pelicans, pushed the pace. Remember, they're 4-1 to the over last 5 games. Had an off game in Charlotte. I think they bounce back here and have a better offensive showing. And I can see them definitely scoring over 100 points. Last game they scored against the lowly Hornets. Remember, they scored 92 points. They haven't scored 92 points in forever. I think the last time they had 97 at Minnesota. That was early in the month. But yeah, so it's kind of shocking. 92 points for an offensive team like that. Yeah, I think they're going to have a better offensive showing tomorrow. I don't see them basically scoring under 100 points in 2 straight games, New Orleans. So I think they put on an offensive showing, push the pace for this game to go over the total 232.5. Now, at the same time, I wouldn't talk you off of a team total. Look for a over. I would do the New Orleans Pelicans over the team total. That's another one to look at tomorrow. Team total over. I'm not sure what the number would be. I don't think they have the numbers for that yet. Let me check and see. I don't think they have it. Let me see if they have that. I doubt they have that. I'll check right now and see if they have that number. If it's there. If it's there, I'll give it to you guys. I'll tell you what it is. I'll look right now. That might be a little bit early, but I'll check. So the New Orleans Pelicans team total. Yeah, because I don't see those guys having 2 bad offensive games scoring under 100 points. There's no way. I don't see that. Let me see. Yeah, let's look for the team total in this game. I don't see it. They haven't put it out yet. So let me double check. Team total. Let me see. Yeah, they haven't put it out as yet. They haven't put it out yet. Not yet. I couldn't even guess what it is. I can't even guess that. Hard to guess what it is. Yeah, they haven't put out the team totals yet. We'll have to wait till tomorrow. But if you see all I can tell you, if you see a Pelicans team total, just automatically bet the over, because you expect them, like I said, to have a better offensive showing. So automatically bet the over for that. And the over, I like the over in this game as well too. I like this game over. So get the early number for that, and if you like the team total for New Orleans, bet it right away, as soon as you can, and bet it over. For the spread, nothing on the spread. I have nothing for the spread. Gotta wait till tomorrow just to get an update on the players' situation and how the number is moving before I can decide that. Nothing there yet. Next game we're going to look at Houston at Boston. It opened up minus 6.5 Boston, total 221.5. Boston off a road trip. First of all, look at the injury report. Boston, there's no players that are injured. Everybody's healthy from what I'm seeing. Houston, Jabari Smith is out with a hand injury. That's it. Everybody else is healthy. On the Boston side, we'll look at this game closely. Boston, Houston. They actually played about 3 weeks ago. They played 3 weeks ago, January 3rd in Houston. Boston was a 4-point favorite at that time, and they covered and won easily, 109.86, and the total was 221. It stayed under. So the total is about the same, 221, but the spread is 6.5 this time. Houston, after all that, against other opposition, 8-2 last 10, 6-3 and 1. Against the spread, 7-2 and 1 to the over. Houston's won 2 straight games. They beat Cleveland twice on a home-to-home basis. So they won twice. They're 3-2 last 5 and 3-2 to the over. Boston 6-4 last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Boston's 3-2 last 5 games, and 2-3 to the under. So both teams are playing to the under. Let me see. Hold on. 1 minute. Sorry. Houston playing to the over, 3-2. Boston 2-3 to the under. So this game here. This is Boston coming off a 4-game road trip. They went 3-4 on the road trip. And now they're 6.5-point favorites. Like I said, I don't like when teams come off a road trip. I like to fade teams. I mentioned this already. Let me see somebody with this line. I like to fade them off. For the first game off a road trip at home, I like to fade these teams. I'm going to lean to Houston. Houston minus 6.5. Houston plus 6.5. That's just a lean. It's not an official play. So I'm going to wait to get a better number here. It's 6.5 now. So I'm not going to bet it right now. I'll wait for a better number. But I'm leaning to Houston. I'll let you know if it's going to be an official play tomorrow. Now, if any of you guys like Boston, you take Boston at 6.5 if you like them. If you like Houston like myself, you're going to wait. So I'm going to wait to get a better number tomorrow. Because like I said, I don't like to bet teams coming off the road trip, especially if it's a long road trip like Boston. Boston had a 4-game road trip. Coming from the West Coast and from the Midwest, and coming from Texas. Yeah, I don't like that. And they played Saturday. Boston played Saturday. They only had 1 day to rest, and then they're playing Monday. Yeah, I gotta take Houston here, but like I said, I'm looking for a better number. I might make it an official play tomorrow. We'll see. We're gonna see about that. As far as the total is concerned, I don't have anything on the total. That's a pass for now. Nothing on the total. Next game, Denver at Chicago. Denver is 7.5-point favorites. Total 244.5. Total 244 is the opening number. Right now we're seeing -8 Denver. Total is at 245. That's the total right now. We're seeing we're seeing a few 245s. So we're going to get the report here for Denver. Via Taco Kankar, the injury is out. On the Chicago side for the Bulls, Cody White ankle out indefinitely. Torrey Craig leg is out indefinitely. So we look at Denver, Chicago in this game. Denver, Chicago. This is the first meeting of the season between these two teams. Denver last 10, 8-2. 8-2 against the spread, 7-3 to the over. They had a 4-game winning streak snapped at Minnesota. Again, the last 5 games they are 4-1 to the over last 5. Before Denver had covered 4 straight games until they lost at Minnesota. Now Chicago, they are 2-8 the last 10 games, 3-7 against the spread, 3-7 to the under. Chicago's lost 2 games in a row. They are 1-4 the last 5 games. Chicago 2-3 to the under. Bulls' losses have been favorites in their losses. They were an underdog against the Clippers. They won. It was a 6.5-point dog, but they've been awful. They have not been great. They're at home now. The only play for me in this game, I have to take Denver. Denver off a loss. Denver off a loss. I have to lay the points. 7.5. It's going to 8. I gotta take Denver here. This is a focus spot for Denver. I like him in this spot here. I believe they bounce back here. Remember, Denver's on a 5-game road trip. Next game's against the Knicks, but I believe this is a focus spot here. I think they get right. They get back on track. And I like him here. I like him to cover the points. At 7.5, it's going to go to 8. If you like Denver, like myself, you're going to bet the 7.5 now. I'm seeing a few 8s right now. So get the 7.5 as quickly as you can before it gets to 8. If you like the Bulls, you're going to wait to get a better number. As far as the total, the total here, you gotta go with the over. I like the over 245. It's either that or you look for try and get a team total, a Denver team total over. That's another option you can look at as well. I will look at that too. Denver team total over or over full game 245 or 244.5, excuse me. So that's it for that game. Next game we're going to look at Atlanta at Minnesota. Open up at -7, 224. Right now we're seeing -10. We're seeing -10s on the board right now. We see a few 10.5s come up, but it's mainly 10s. -10 right now, Minnesota. And the total actually went down to 219.5. So we're going to check the injury report. There might be a few injuries here. That's what if the total's dropping like that. Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young. I can see why the total's dropped. Trae Young has been downgraded to being out. He'll be out for the game at Minnesota. He will not be playing. So that explains everything why the total is dropped. He's been out. Zacharan Rasher, abductor, questionable Monday. DeAndre Hunter, illness, questionable Monday. Jalen Johnson's shoulder injury is out. So you see why the Hawks went up to 10 because of the Trae Young injury. Minnesota. Look at the Timberwolves. See how they're making out. Dante DiVincenzo out, toe injury. So this game here, this game's a pass. I don't see anything here. I just pass on this game. I look at some player props. Actually, let me look at something here. I forgot to check something with this team. Sorry. I forgot to check one thing here. Didn't check it. We got to do a review of the games. We didn't review the game. Sorry about that. So Atlanta, Minnesota, they played last year, head-to-head. December 23rd, last month, December 23rd in Atlanta. And Minnesota's a 3-point favorite at that time. The total was 224. And Atlanta covered and won 117-104, and it went under the total. So this time it's come down now to 219. Which is interesting, because obviously the Trae Young news. That's why. Now Atlanta against other opposition 4-6 last 10, 3-7 against the spread, 4-5-1 to the under. Atlanta's lost 4 straight games, and they're 1-3 to the under. So they're having problems scoring. Actually, if you're including 5 games, 1-4 to the under. And 1-4 last 5 games. Minnesota 6-4 last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. 3-2 the last 5 games, and are 3-2 to the over. Yeah, this game's going to be a pass. I basically look at player props for this game, and that's it. I don't see anything of value here to touch. I'm not touching this. I'm not really going to touch the spread of the total. This is a pass. For me, it's a pass. Yeah, I would just look at player props, like I said. Player props for this game, and that's it. Nothing else for this game. And obviously the player props aren't out yet. They'll be out tomorrow morning. So I'll be doing a video on the player props tomorrow and advise you which ones to take and which ones not to take. Just for now, sides and totals is a pass. Next game, Washington at Dallas. The opening number for this game, -12 Dallas. Excuse me, 11.5 Dallas opening number. Total 232. Right now, we're looking at, it's come all the way down to 2. They're seeing mainly 231.5s on the board, and it's -12. Dallas at Washington. So we're looking at the Dallas side for the injuries. Max Kepler out with an ankle injury. Dwight Powell questionable with a hip injury. Dante Exum, wrist out indefinitely. Derek Lively, foot injury, out indefinitely. And Luka Doncic is out indefinitely. On the Washington side, Malcolm Brogdon, foot injury, ruled out Monday. Marvin Bagley III, knee injury, out. Sadiq Bey, out indefinitely with a knee injury. Let's look at this game here. So Washington and Dallas did play December 5th. Obviously, that's when Luka was playing and he was healthy. Now he's out. This game was in Washington. Dallas was a 13.5 point favorite. The total was 232. Dallas covered and won 137-101, and it went over 232. Dallas went down a point to 231. Washington, they've lost 10 straight games. They covered the last game against Phoenix. Were a bit competitive against Phoenix. The last game, plus 14. But they're 1-4 to the under, which is interesting. Dallas 4-6 last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 5-5 the total. 2-3 the last 5 games. Dallas in 3-2 to the over. That's Dallas. So this one here. Yeah, the only way to look in this game is going to be Dallas minus 12. That's the only way to look. They're at home. They haven't been this big of a favorite in a long time, but that's how I would lean. I would lean that way. It's not a strong play, this game here. Not really a strong play. Yeah, this is not really a strong play for me. I would have to look at some player props. That's the only thing I can do for this game. Lean to the minus 12, but not a strong play. Not something that I would get to the window with, but I lean that way. That's all. Next game we're going to look at Utah at home against Milwaukee. Milwaukee a 9-point favorite, total 233.5. Right now we're seeing some 8.5s come up, and it's 235 right now. That's what we're looking at right now, 235. Mainly out there. Injury reports for Milwaukee. Milwaukee, Bobby Portis, out for personal reasons. Chris Middleton, ankle questionable for Monday's game. AJ Green with a quad injury, questionable for Monday's game. On the Utah side, Walker Kessler, shoulder injury, is questionable to play against Milwaukee. Jordan Clarkson, foot injury, is questionable. John Collins, illness, questionable to play Monday. Let's look at the information between these two teams. We'll look at this game. So this is they played last year, last November, early in the season. This is in Milwaukee. The Bucks were 10-point favorites, and the total is 232. Milwaukee won and covered, 123-100, and it was under the 232. This is the second meeting. Milwaukee against other opposition, 8-2, last 10 games, 7-3 against the spread, 8-2 to the over. The Bucks had their 5-game winning streak snapped in LA against the Clippers. Milwaukee on a 4-game road trip. So this is the second game of the road trip. Lost the first one against the Clippers by 10 points. 4-1 last 5 games, and 4-1 to the over. Utah 2-8 last 10 games, 7-3 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. The Jazz have lost 5 straight games, 4 of which have been on the road. So they're coming off a road. Well, they're sort of off a road trip. They're home briefly against Milwaukee. Very strange schedule. Home against Milwaukee on Monday. Then they got to go back and play Golden State in a couple days in Golden State. So it's very strange here. Right now they're 4-1 to the over. Yeah, the only way I can play this game is going to be over 235. I don't like to back teams coming off a road trip, especially when it's this extensive. I mentioned this many times. So I know for a fact that the defense, Utah doesn't play any sort of defense whatsoever. So Milwaukee should have their way, scoring the basket. So therefore I like the over 235 in this game. And I would look at some Giannis or I would look at some Greek freak props, over in scoring for props. Over the total in scoring. I would look for that. Because Utah's in a tough spot. They're coming off a road trip, first game back. Legs will be flat. They only had, like, since Saturday, they only had, what, a day of rest, and then they play Monday. Yeah, the defense is going to be flat. I can see the defense being flat. I'll look at I have to bet the over 235 in this game. Over 235. And look for some props. Giannis props. I look for some Giannis props, especially his scoring props over in points. Over in points for Giannis. I gotta look for that. Look for those props. Unfortunately, those props are not out yet. I wish they were out, but they're going to be out in the morning, tomorrow morning. So I would look for those props. Over in Giannis props for scoring. Over in scoring. Points for props for Giannis. I would look for that. Over in points scored for Giannis. Because Utah's in a really bad spot. I'm maybe leaning towards Milwaukee to cover the points. I mean, this is how bad it is. I would lean to Milwaukee. I know it's 8.5. I'll still take the Bucks here. Utah, yeah, they haven't covered anything. They haven't covered nothing. I mean, they covered OKC. They covered 2 games over there. They covered OKC and the Pelicans. I mean, Pelicans ain't really. I don't consider Pelicans a strong team anyway. They're not really that strong in my opinion. Okay, so I'll give you OKC. They played tough against OKC, but they don't really impress me, in my opinion. Covering points, they don't impress me. And like I said, they're in a bad spot because they got to play Golden State in a couple days. So I got to take Milwaukee here. I got to lean. It's a lean. I might make it official. But I like the over at this time. I like the over more. So if you like the over, you take the 235 or the 234.5 now. If you like the under, you're gonna wait for a better number. All right. So the next game. Let's bear with me one moment. It's lost a bit of a connection here. Just one moment. Sorry. Clippers at Phoenix. This one here, this is the last game on the board too. -1 Phoenix, total 222.5. Right now it is at 223. 223.5. And it's 1.5. Actually, all of a sudden now it's Phoenix is favored. Now Clippers are favored. 1.5. So that switched pretty quickly. So it must be some injury news in this game. Let's see here. Let's look at this for 1 second here. Clippers and Phoenix. Might be an injury or something, or somebody's out of the lineup. We're gonna see. I'll check this out right now. Clippers. Chris Dunn questionable for this game with a knee injury. PJ Tucker personal out indefinitely. On the Phoenix side, Ryan Dunn is ruled out. Ankle injury. So that's kind of strange. I thought, they're not a favorite anymore at home. The Clippers are. Let's look at this matchup carefully, though. Let's take a look at this matchup. Let's see. Now they've played 2 times already. They played twice in Los Angeles. First meeting, October 23rd. This is early in the season. Phoenix was a 5-point favorite. Phoenix, and so the Clippers covered the 5, and then they lost by 3, 116 to 113 to Phoenix. And the total at that time was 224, and it went over. Second meeting was on Halloween, October 31st. Phoenix was a 4.5-point favorite. And Phoenix this time covered 125, 119, and it went over 220. Third meeting has gone over. It's up 223, like we said. 223, it's 1.5. Let's look at the latest the last 10 for the Clippers. Against other opposition, 6-4, 8-2 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Clippers have won 2 straight games. 2 on the road. They've had a long homestand, 5-game homestand, 3-2 on the homestand. Now they're on a 4-game road trip. And right now, last 5 games, they are 3-2 to the under. That's the Clippers. And now they're on the road trip, like we said, long road trip. 4-game road trip. Phoenix, meanwhile, 7-3 last 10 games, 3-6 to the 3-6-1 against the spread, 4-5-1 to the under. Phoenix has won 2 straight games. 4-1 the last 5 games, and they are 2-3 to the under. 2-3 to the under. This game is a pass. I don't see anything here that's appealing to me in this game. This game's a complete pass. Nothing here at all in this game that's that I like. The only thing I can do, I can look at. The only thing to look for is props. Props on both sides of the ball for both teams. I look at the props. That's all I can tell you for this game. The total, nothing on the total or the side. This one's a pass. So that concludes that. We've done all the games on Beat the Number, NBA edition, Beat the Number. Again, this is our first episode for Beat the Number, NBA edition. We're going to be doing this going forward, right through till the playoffs. The NBA playoffs will be doing this. We'll be doing videos on this. Beat the Number, NBA edition. We're going to be doing this. All right, so thank you for joining me on the first episode of this Beat the Number edition, NBA style. My name is Abby. Thank you very much. I hope you guys were able to jump on these numbers early, so you can beat the number, get ahead of the spread and the totals. Until then, I'm going to do another video tomorrow with updated information on the NBA, and we're going to get into props. We'll do more props, give you the best props for each game. Until then, hope you get those numbers early for the spreads and the totals and cash those tickets. Good luck. Stay true to yourself. Stay blessed. Stay humble. Believe in yourself. Peace. We'll see you tomorrow.